Hi guys, so today for my presentation I'm going to be talking about social anxiety in the classroom. I feel like this is an important topic to talk about because I know a lot of students struggle with anxiety and especially in the social aspect when at school. And so being able to know how to use instruction and be able to teach students while also trying to help them socially is important. And so, yes, today I will be talking about social anxiety in the classroom. So, the first thing to talk about what exactly is social anxiety. And so, according to the article by the Child Mind Institute, it is when children are excessively self conscious, making it difficult for them to participate in class and socialize with their peers. And so, a lot about social anxiety is just what's in their head. They're thinking things that most likely aren't true, but it's all that they can think about, and their mind kind of blocks what they are able to do because they're so worried about it. And so, neurologist Ken Schultzer, he kind of best describes it as the students tend to lock up their brain, and it makes school harder for anxious kids because their brain is just focused on so many different things that they can't really focus on school. And when they are focused on school, like if they get called on, then it's harder for them to like answer because they're just worried about what others are thinking. And so another thing that's important is being able to recognize this in the students that you have and just being aware of the students that struggle with anxiety in the class. And so I think it's important to go over ways to recognize anxiety in the students in your classroom, just because not every single student is going to be willing to be like, hey, I struggle with this. Like, we as educators it's important for us to be able to see our students and like see what they're struggling with. So, signs of a student struggling in your classroom may be inattention and restlessness. So, students not being able to focus and students not being able to kind of stay in one spot. That could be factors. Clingy students who are really trying to just only spend time with you, maybe could be a sign. Trouble answering questions in class. Students may be extremely nervous and not be able to answer the questions that you're asking. Frequent trips to the nurse. A lot of mental anxiety can lead to physical sickness just because students are overthinking and being able to make themselves nauseous and worried and tired and exhausted. And so that mental illness can lead to physical illness when students are getting themselves so worked up that they're making themselves sick or avoiding socializing or group work. So, especially with social anxiety, students are nervous about other students, and so avoiding group work would be a big sign. Now, obviously, all of these things like don't necessarily mean like 100% that they are diagnosed with anxiety, but these are just indicators and things to watch out for that could be signs. So, another question or idea that I was reading about when I was looking up these topics are the idea between just being shy versus social anxiety. And I feel like it's good to go over the two and the differences between them because there are students who will be in your classes who don't like group work, who don't necessarily struggle with anxiety. They're just more shy and more timid. And so, being able to kind of like know the difference is important and is something that we should be able to navigate as educators. And so I think it'd be good to just go over kind of like what the article says is shy versus social anxiety. So on the shy side, there is nervous around people, but then they tend to warm up to others. So like you may be shy, but like when you're comfortable, you kind of come out of your shell. And being shy, like it will not significantly impact your abilities. Like when you need to get something done, like you're more likely to do it, even if you are shy. Whereas social anxiety, you're just really nervous and terrified of how people will perceive you, and you're less likely to warm up to others. So your your brain is just saying like, no, like you don't need to be around people, like you don't warm up to others, and so that's kind of the big difference. So, what as educators can we do for our students? That's kind of the key thing that's important here is what can we do to help these students. And so I was going through some articles and here are some of the ideas that I saw. So help the student manage the anxiety, not try to eliminate it. So we're not telling the students like, oh, it's bad to feel these things, like you shouldn't be feeling these things. Like that's not what we want to do. We want to just help the students manage anxiety in like various different ways, and just kind of like lighten the load off of their shoulders a little bit and be there for them. Setting positive and realistic expectations. This is a big one because these students with social anxiety, they're seeking approval, and so having the expectations that they can meet and be able to like gain your approval, that is something that really would be helpful for them. Do not avoid things just because they make a student anxious. If we're just avoiding everything that makes a student anxious, we're not like leaving them for success and to grow. We need to push them out of their comfort zone, but also know the line that needs to be drawn, because we don't want to just back away and not make any progress at all, because that would just hurt the student in the long run and in life. And then we want to model healthy ways of handling anxiety. And so they're looking to us as educators to be able to, show them the example and be someone that they think is just awesome. And so by modeling healthy ways of handling anxiety and not being able to like coop it up yourself, like that is a huge factor because those students are learning from you every single day. And so we want to model, like in every single class I've ever been in here at Missouri State, like model, 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 like this is no different. Like it's more of a social thing rather than a academic thing, but it's still super important to model relationships and model behaviors because the students are watching you. So how can we help? This is more just ideas on ways that we can give our best foot forward for the students. So giving students extra notice before transitions. This is huge in any student. Any student would like to be informed, but especially with these students who are anxious, just being able to be like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what you're going to expect next. And then provide classroom seating where the student is most comfortable, kind of giving them the choice and options, because just having that control is helpful. Let the students present projects to the teacher instead of the entire class. This is big for students with social anxiety because they're so nervous. And so maybe, gradually getting up there, maybe presenting the first one to a teacher or a small group, and then slowly working your way up to the entire class. Obviously, that's going to be more on a student by student basis and figuring out what the accommodation is that's best for that student. But definitely like giving options and choice in many of these things are key because we want our students to feel comfortable and safe, but also that they're being grown and being pushed out of their comfort zone. But like I said just now, like overall our goal is to make the student feel safe and wanted and welcomed and all of those things. And so it is just super important that we are able to do that for our students because that is ultimately what's going to grow them and what's going to make them trust you and just make the best relationship between you and the student. And then lastly, how to treat a student with social anxiety disorder. So just going off of a couple more things in the articles that I read, give praise and rewards for accomplishments and participation. Just because those students are looking for love and for, they're nervous to be around people, but they're still wanting praise, and so being able to give that to them is huge. Speak softly and calmly. Students with social anxiety, they do get nervous and they get frantic quick, and so by being able to stay calm and smooth and just talk to them like on an eye-to-eye level basis and not like get freaked out, like that's going to be where you're going to get the most understanding and the most like just the most understanding from your student. And then lastly, help the student confront situations that may be fearful for them with encouragement. So like I said, pushing them out of their comfort zone is important because they need to grow, but also, you know, being encouraging and being there with that student because it is scary for them. So that is all I have for the presentation. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that we're able to just really be there for our students in whatever way they need. And I think that we all will come in contact with students with social anxiety just because it is increasing so much in this day and age. And so being prepared and being equipped to teach students is really what's important. Thanks.